Mia's down here pawing me. Okay, so we're live now.
You bet.
Stop.
What's up, Jody?
What'd you do today? Just kind of hang?
Yeah, for the most part. As you can see right here where see that line was like hugging us earlier this morning. So it's shifted a little bit to the west. We were like right outside this line. It's moved over some. But it's still too early to tell. Who knows what's gonna happen. What's up, Brenda? How's it going?
Brenda.
And Jody, if I didn't say hi to you. Which that isn't really all that great because then that's more time it's over the water underneath too. It may strengthen even more. Because if it goes more to the east, it's going to stay over Cuba and it'll hit the tip of Florida, which should help break it up some. So it wouldn't be so devastating. But yeah, if it gets out there in the Gulf, hovers out there, that ain't good.
Yeah,
If it goes,
it's still just a little bit south of the Yucatan and Cuba, right?
well, this what I'm saying is like if it was to go this way, east, and go over Cuba and kind of hit Florida at the same time, it would help slow it down and break it up. But if it keeps going west, it's going to get out into all this open water.
Yeah.
And it's just going to ramp the hell up because there's no land there. Land is always good for a hurricane because it breaks it up and helps get rid of it. But yeah, if it keeps going west, it's just going to get more and more open water, which is going to be worse.
It's gonna make that turn.
Hey, Captain
It's
John.
already because like earlier, Joe, this line here, it's like right here.
Right.
So it's already shifted east some or western. It's shifted
Yeah,
to the
it's gonna
west.
shift a little more west. But
Like I
it's
said,
gonna make that turn before it is to Yucatan, I hope.
for it to be less devastating, though, it would be better to go east and hit Cuba and then right here because there's not so much open water. But being out here and
All
there,
right.
that's going to make it even worse because it could get up to a 4 possibly.
Oh, it's gonna get nasty no matter what.
Now that shouldn't just it'll rain, but it'll affect you, won't it, Joe? But it won't affect you.
It shouldn't affect me at all.
Now, I
We should
could be
have bright
completely wrong,
skies.
bro. I could be
Because
completely
if it
wrong, Brenda. I'm
goes the
just
way it's
guessing.
going, Mississippi will get affected with some rain and that, but once you get into Louisiana, it's gonna be sunshine, not even clouds.
Like I said, I could be wrong. I'm just guessing from my own
Hey,
personal
Rod.
Hello.
judgment of it.
This thing's gonna be mean. The
Yeah, it's gonna get nasty.
the entire state of Florida is gonna get drowned by this thing. I don't know if you've looked at the radar.
Well,
Holy
they've put 60.
fuck, that thing is like 500 miles across.
They had 43 counties under the state of emergency, but then they upped it to 67 counties, I think, in
Yeah.
Florida.
And
They almost every county just about.
fucking Port Tallahassee with all of its trees. Oh, this thing's gonna be a Cat 3 going over literally almost directly over Tallahassee.
Well, like I said, it's
Well,
going to
one
get
thing
worse
good.
if it keeps going west, though, because it's going to get over that open water.
Scotty's gonna need lots of chainsaws.
Well, there's one thing good. Florida state season can't get any worse.
Well, yeah, that's true. They cancel the game. They'll cancel the game, so they won't lose another one. One less game they lost. No, they'll just reschedule it and lose it later.
That's the way it works.
So
Yeah, because it looks like, I mean, we're not even gonna get a cloud cover. It's 4 and up. It's
Yeah, it's far
a
enough
long
east.
storm. It's not a wide storm.
Yeah.
So it's big enough that it's gonna stop in the Mississippi area. I
Uh,
think it's Mobile,
I
Biloxi
won't
area.
say it's going to be wide on the east side because it's probably
Oh, yeah. It's gonna be
200
wide on your
plus.
side.
It's probably 200 miles from the center to the outside edge.
Yeah.
I've been a,
I mean, that thing is down there off of Cancun. Well, actually, it's still south of Cancun, and some of the rain bands are about to hit Key West.
Brenda, I've been in Florida about 11 years. Maybe
Yeah,
a
I've been
little over
here
11.
10 years. I came in early 2014. But this
That's
thing,
about what time we came.
this thing is gonna drown. This thing's gonna drown this. So if you live in an area that is prone to flooding, yeah, you're gonna get flooded out of this. Even if it's not, even if this thing isn't coming at you, which it's not.
Yeah,
See,
look at the
usually
rain.
do- We usually don't have prone flooding in my area, but we have a lot of lakes around us and it's always possible one of those could crest over.
Mm,
So,
it's basically
And
as
it-
much rain as we've had for the last month and a half.
because
Yeah, look
most
at-
of
look-
our
You can see how
Drain-
big this thing is.
drainage
Yeah,
goes
look,
into
it covers the
lakes.
entire state of Florida and then some.
Yeah. Like I said, it's gonna get worse if it keeps going west because there's more water out there for it to ramp up.
This thing could come on shore as a 4.
It
You
could,
know,
it
you know
would,
who's gonna-
Joe knows that as well as I
Yeah.
do. I mean, look at Michael. Michael was literally right where this thing is sitting right now was a tropical storm.
I mean, to be
You
less
know-
devastating, it would be better to come over Cuba and the tip of Florida. At least it'd have some land underneath it. Not being
It's
out in the
got a-
open water in the
It's got a
Gulf.
possibility when it's gonna go over Atlanta. It's got a possibility to go over Atlanta as a hurricane 2 or 3. There's that chance.
That'll tear a
If
lot
it hits
up.
Atlanta as a 2, Saints play Sunday in Atlanta. Ain't gonna happen. If it hits
I mean,
Atlanta as a 2 or 3.
it'd be better if it just didn't come at all, but if I had to choose, I'd rather go over Cuba and the tip of Florida than go out into the Gulf.
Yeah.
If it keeps going west, it's just gonna have more water to ramp it up. At least if it went over Cuba, the majority of Cuba and hit the tip of Florida, it'd have some land to help break it up a little bit. But it has show you can for just from well at least the weather app that I use, the one on Edge, the brow it showed it shifted a little bit to the west from this morning. Well, the track that they have for it.
Well, Mark,
Mark, what's up?
Hello, everybody.
That's the thing about the United States, though, is our weather is so volatile. No matter where you live, you're going to deal with something, either hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes. Now you just got to decide which one you want to deal with.
Yeah, I looked at your picture, Mark, just out the corner of my eyes. I thought that was all tied up. I thought somebody finally got enough of that puppet.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm gonna have to get a picture of Art and tie him up like that with that puppet on the ground.
That's a good one.
You just have the puppet at the end of the rope tying the knot.
Hell yeah. Sure, Brenda. That's why I said Mother Nature's the worst serial killer out there.
Yeah.
Blew my cornflakes all over the garden this morning.
Hey, Justin,
What's up?
I had the granddaughter this morning. I kind of think she got some middle. I gotta check his family. His last name is Gort. I think it's got Middle Eastern in it because she was sitting over there and I told her no, and she looked at me. I said, "Stop doing that." She goes, "No." I said, "You need to stop." She looked at me. All of a sudden, I got hit with a shoe. She took her shoe off and chunked it at me.
What's up, JDS? How's it going?
He sounds like she's gonna be more and more of a handful every day.
I mean, out the corner of my eye, so I'm coming and something hit me upside the head.
Oh yeah,
And
that's
then
what
she
I
looked
said,
at me, she
Brenda. I'm
went.
just guessing.
Then she clapped.
Get her signed up for the softball team.
I tell you. Well, she takes Loki's ball and she'll chunk it across the living room, little as she is. It's a little a plush thing, but still, at that age, she shouldn't be throwing it across the living room.
Look, if she can aim at you and hit you on the side of the head, she can pitch a ball.
Well, I'm thinking. I'm thinking. My ex was a good ball player in high school.
In fact,
She
do they
like
have, yeah,
real
they do
good.
have women's American football teams, don't they?
Oh, they do, but it's all propaganda type stuff. Well, X-rated.
Well,
The
yeah,
lingerie league
have-
and stuff like that.
I have noticed the shorts they wear. Yeah,
Yeah.
nearly anyway. Not nearly noticed. They nearly wear.
Well, I'm gonna be running back and forth, so I'll be in and out of the stream. I'll be here, but I took 2 fluid pills. I haven't been taking the fluid pills. I just haven't been taking them because I really haven't needed them. And all of a sudden, I put on my shoes today, my flip flops, the slides like, and one of them's kind of tight. I looked down at my foot and I said, I better take some pills. That's what happens when you can't sleep. You're having problems sleeping at night because every time I lay down, I start coughing. So I've been sitting up and I haven't been getting my legs up, you know. So the fluid's going to one place. I'm gonna get rid of it today.
The ambulance was here this afternoon.
For you?
For what? Your tenant?
No, my tenant,
Oh,
you know, he's on
He's-
dialysis and the dialysis doesn't seem to be working. He's blowing up inside.
oh man.
I don't think he's gonna be surviving all of this.
Yeah,
Stay
it's
safe,
might not.
Brenda. Hey, I got my bug out bag for the hurricane. Got all my MREs and everything.
Oh, your candy or what?
Oh, it's got MREs, it's got survival tent, it's got a all kinds of medical stuff in there. I got everything in there. And I got a 24-hour ration for each family member, and then a little extra.
It's a Sheldon Cooper emergency kit then.
Yep. There's even a emergency tarp. I got some paracord in there. I got everything you could think of. You and Dusty be safe anyway. I hope y'all are okay. So.
What was it hitting the south?
Oh no, I'm just saying in general, just because they're in Florida. Because you never know. We don't know what this thing's gonna do. It could shift either way last minute. I mean,
Well,
It's not supposed to get to the US until what, late Thursday?
I mean, TJ was saying
so,
this
yeah.
morning it's been raining all day.
Yeah, that's just normal rain now. That's just normal afternoon shower.
Florida has a rainy season, don't they, in the fall?
Yeah,
Not like
during this
Rain in the
summer,
morning.
during the summertime, we get a lot of rain. Yeah, during the hot time of the year, we get rains just about every day. We usually get an afternoon shower around.
Has it cooled down there though? It's not that hot, is it?
Oh hell no! It's still hot as shit down here right now.
Oh, really?
Let's see. Well, at least in my area it is. I don't know about Brenda. Yeah, it's 88 and feels like 96 with
Oh, okay, so
73%
that is
humidity.
hot. Yeah, it's
I mean,
it's a whopping, we hit a whopping 70 degrees today.
I mean, it's not hot. I mean, I'm kind of used to it, but it's not comfortable neither. You don't really want to be chilling outside if you don't have to.
We had 14 degrees today.
You got quite a few people in your chat that live in Florida, so that's why I was telling them be safe.
Hey, Dominic, whenever you can make it in,
Yeah, true that, Brenda. And unless it decides to do something stupid. Like I said, it's too early to tell.
Yeah, and if you don't feel that safe, build an ark.
Brenda's a regular Florida gal. So she's like you, she's seen it all. Now, did you have any big storms like this, like when you were in California, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, we had no. In Southern California, you don't get much rain at all. Rain maybe 2 weeks out of the year if that was it. And then normally that's why I don't understand why they don't call why how Florida got the Sunshine State nickname when in California it's damn sunny every fucking day, just about with no clouds in the sky. At least where I lived in the desert area, yeah, it hardly ever rained. I mean, we got sandstorms once in a while that were pretty wicked. And of course, your occasional earthquake you'd get every few years. You might get a really nasty earthquake. But I've dealt with a lot of natural disasters. The only two I haven't really ever had to deal with is flooding and
Earthquakes?
no, flooding and tornadoes. I've seen a tornado from like 20 miles away one time when I was in the Midwest, and that was
You
it.
don't hear a lot about earthquakes out west anymore, do you?
No, there's still earthquakes. They have earthquakes every day. It's just whether you can feel them or not. Some of them are deeper than others.
Yeah, I'm talking about major ones.
No, they usually get a major one every 5 to 10 years. They might have a really bad one.
Because I seem to recall, I could be wrong. My memory isn't what it used to be. They had a major one in San Francisco a few years back.
I mean, they've gotten better though. Like as far as the engineering goes with buildings and stuff, they don't have a lot of shit collapsing during earthquakes. I said, especially with high rises, they've gotten better at the engineering. They actually say, I've always heard this. I don't know if it's true though, because obviously I'm not an architect or an engineer, but I've always heard that the taller the building, the actual safer you are because it can't hit the frequency that it needs to collapse the building. Most earthquakes don't hit that frequency or something like that. Something to do with frequencies in the buildings. I don't know if that's true or not though. I've heard that before though, that the taller buildings usually won't hit the right frequency in order to cause it to collapse. Something to do with that.
Frequencies is more when it starts to oscillate. So if it starts rocking, then it can do that. But if it's just damage to the foundations, you can't save that.
See, I got a whole bag of shit. I got all kinds of gauze, emergency whistle with the matches. Got a first aid kit, paracord, portable dog bowls for the dogs if we need them, emergency tarp. I got a couple of ponchos if you needed them for something. Got lights Bunch of glow sticks. Saline spray. And I got a bunch of MREs. Got a whole bunch of those. Some emergency blankets. Like, I got a whole bag full of shit. Bunch of first aid stuff. I actually got a lot of trauma stuff in here too. I actually need to print out my first aid certificate and put it in there. I guess. I have it, I guess. I don't know if I ever need it, but wouldn't hurt
You
to
got
have
one
it.
of those saws that's like a garrote. It's like a handle on each end of a wire rope, and the wire rope is toothed. So you just sort of wrap it around the branch and then start pulling either end of it and saw through it.
Done by the wire saw? No, I don't
Yeah.
have one of those.
Very handy for dealing with zombies.
Some good old EMT scissors too. Those
Those are
things will
good
cut.
scissors.
Yeah, they can cut through a fucking border with one of those things.
Yeah, I used to have 'em. I cut
I
pulling their
love
pants
EMT
off.
scissors. I got 2 other sets of them too. I got 2 smaller sets, 2 of these. Little
Yeah.
smaller ones, more compact ones. I put the bigger ones in the one kit.
I
Yeah,
keep
I
them
got a
in my
bunch.
toolbox.
I got a bunch of these, and they have the ration heaters and all that stuff in them.
Yeah. But I keep my the original EMS shears in my toolbox in the car. And those things, I'll tell you what, a lot of times you got somebody with a gunshot and you just have to rip everything off. Those things will cut anything off.
Oh, piss off, Joy.
I've got a pair of scissors like that in my kitchen.
Hey, Dre, Brenda.
They're for
Yeah,
cutting chickens in half.
These are portable dog bowls for the dogs, just in case we ever needed them for something. Figured it doesn't hurt to have those in there.
Have you got one of those
Couple
silicone
survival knives.
full buckets?
Do what? Yeah, they're collapsible.
Yeah, I've got one that's like that, but it's a bucket.
Yeah, I got a couple survival blankets. Emergency blankets. I got the emergency tarp with a roll of paracord. I don't know. Some of this stuff I probably would never need, but you know, if you got it, you got it, right?
It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Hey,
Then in
Paul,
here I have.
do y'all
Yeah.
have any Arby's up by y'all?
Yep.
You need to go get you one of those bourbon brisket sandwiches.
Are they good?
It's better than Ducalax.
Clears
Then
you
I
right
got
out.
Well, it did it.
skin prep, bug towelettes. I got iodine pads, anti-itch gel, sterile strips, every type of Band-Aid you could think of. I have ionized swabs. I got packs of those. I have, what are these? Transparent film dressing. I actually got a couple big ones too. They're like that for wounds. I even have thermometers. disposable thermometers,
Yeah,
so you can take temperatures. Bunch of sterile strips, different styles, different sizes.
yeah, Paul, I ate that sandwich around 3 o'clock yesterday. And about 9 o'clock, I thought I was the balloon where they were letting air out of me.
Wow.
I just had so much gas, but I felt like I was like somebody was squeezing a balloon and it was just open in, you know?
Yeah,
And
it
then
kinda is. This-
about 11 o'clock, it didn't feel like air anymore. I said, let me go check.
It was knocking
Yeah.
on the door, right?
Well, I'm telling you, when I went, oh, I know that's not going to be air. I'm not going to, I went, oh man, all I'm telling you.
Pebble
The first thing I thought about was you.
You couldn't hit the toilet seat fast enough, huh?
The first thing I thought was you and Dukalax.
Yeah.
Pebble dashing.
Tell you, these things are nice too. The butterfly bandages.
Yeah.
And spider bandages.
Hey, you got to
I got
rough it,
everything.
man. You got to rough it like a man. Just get a needle and thread.
Yeah,
I
stitch
don't
yourself
have an-
up.
I don't actually have a stitching kit. Should probably get one. Even though I don't know how to sew this, I'd probably fucking fuck you up trying to do that.
Don't forget the anesthetic. You know, the half bottle of Jack Daniels.
Well, the real guys don't use anesthetic, they just sew it.
No, they use whiskey.
Well, how could you use whiskey and concentrate on sewing your own skin?
Hey, you pour the whiskey on the thing.
Pour the whiskey on it. It's sterile. The alcohol in the whiskey sterilizes the wound.
And what happens is you get so much pain out of it, you don't care about the rest of the pain.
Yeah. Then you give the rest of it to the patient to drink. Don't you watch any of these cowboy films?
Yeah.
Got little extra baggies. You got to put stuff in.
Keyword film.
Digging
I got
bullets
this.
out with knives that are twice as big as the hole the bullet made.
Yeah, I've been out in the field and I've seen the crap.
East
Not the
Coast,
same.
East Coast Thrill says that if he has to sew you up, it just got to hang on a minute because he's got to watch a video.
Yeah, just let me check on YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, if I was cut bad enough and I didn't have a butterfly will do the same thing.
Yeah.
If I didn't have a butterfly bandage, I would probably do it.
Good.
Yeah, I'd probably, because when I cut my right above my eye one time, I fell. It split my head open. And it was bad enough that I looked at it and it was gonna need stitches. I knew it. But I went in my medical kit because it was right after wasn't long after I stopped working EMS. So I grabbed my medical kit, cleaned it up and put a couple of butterflies on it. Then I went to the hospital. And the doctor looked at it and he goes, yeah, he asked me a couple of questions about it and I told him what it looked like. I had actually taken a picture and showed him. And he said, well, you cleaned it up pretty good. He said, I'm gonna leave it alone. He'll heal. He said, there's no reason to stitch it. He said, just don't take the butterflies off for a couple of days. Well, he talking about 2 days later, it was hurting. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, there's the big wound.
That's not a big one. It's a 4x4.
It's a
Is
4
that
by
4x4 or
4.
4x6?
That's a 4 by 4, 3 1/4.
Yeah,
14
4x4,
centimeter
basically.
dimensional. Well, I mean,
little-
that will do a pretty big
Little
one. though.
dabbing pad. You need a big old trauma one. Big old trauma drill, big thick one.
Yeah.
12 by 20.
Medical tape. Well, so I know I got more shit on here than that.
I've got a load of 4x4s and 5x5s because that's what they're putting on me.
I got a whole nother first
So
aid kit. I got more shit too.
I've got boxes full of them upstairs.
Tons of alcohol prep pads.
And tubes of gel for medium exuding wounds. And lollipop applicators for barrier cream.
Yeah,
Yeah, see, we got all the different types of gauze.
yeah.
Oh, you're all
Uh,
set.
Ace bandages. Smaller gauze. What are these?
You got your
Syringes.
MRIs?
Yeah, yeah, do.
Yeah, portable MRI, X-ray
Joe
machine,
knows what those are for.
ultrasound,
Oh, yeah, tourniquet.
Two of
Had to look
those.
at it.
pair of paddles.
More matches. Then I got another little small, just quick kit. It's got like little packs of aspirin and stuff in it. But it doesn't hurt to be prepared.
Yeah, I got about 4 different little first aid kits in different, well, I got them in each bathroom and I got one of them in my car.
These are for giving saline, but they actually have saline in them.
Yeah. My problem was when I was in a unit, I used to use the saline. I was wearing contact most of the time. So I used to get the saline from the unit and just use it.
Honey calcium allergen dressings. I got a bunch of those.
Every time I go in the hospital, I look at everything they got in my room and I take it all. Make me a kit.
Matter of fact, I do need to put these. 'Cause I got a whole crap ton of these little bags. And no, I'm not selling weed, Dusty. I know that's what you're gonna say.
Okay. Bathroom break number 2.
I'm gonna put these matches in one of these little baggies.
Gonna be all cleaned out, isn't he?
Fortunately, are kind of susceptible to moisture. They're not.
No, it's not for that. Paul, he's taking 2 fluid tablets. Well, water tablets. We call them. To get rid of the swelling in his feet.
Is preparation is key. Sure. Take this. So boxes do not fit.
So what's new with everybody in the chat? Anybody out there got any new toys you want to share or talk about? I mean, I don't know if any of our regulars have bought a Neo yet or not, or
Well, even if they have, none of them would have got it yet. So unless they're in another country.
And
Brenda,
no,
it's been raining on and off all day. It's just, as you can see, pretty nasty. I haven't flown today. Yeah, I saw the Alpina go through too. But it was raining here when it was only a mile away, so the rain was steadily moving around.
Yeah.
No, Paul, it's 2 fluid pills doing it to me right now.
Since that box of matches will not fit in there, I'm gonna take those, put those in there. Cut these off. Put those in a separate baggie and stick those in there so they don't hit the matches. Close up and stick it in there with the matches. I just cut the 2 strips off the box. Put them in there with them. I was just going to stick them in there, but then I was like, yeah, that probably might not be a good idea if any friction happens in the bag. Yeah, there you go.
safety matches like the ones on books are better because they don't ignite themselves.
Like I said, there was a lot of years I did not make a preparation kit, and I was always, you're always told to do it, and never listened. And then finally one year I decided, this last year I said I'm gonna make one. I started gathering shit up, and building it. Like I said, I got 5 of these, one for each family member. Plus, I have 2 other MREs that I got to dig out and put in here.
Russell's getting his Mavic 4 tomorrow.
And you have
Yeah, right. Okay.
And you have a basic CPR and first aid kit manual.
There was a good deal on Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, okay. That money gone.
Well, the thing of it is if you go on eBay and stuff and you look at all the drones for sale, unless they're a Flymore kit and they're real expensive, the good price stuff, in my mind, no controller, which is fine, but they got no batteries, no props. Some of them don't even have the gimbal guard still,
Yeah,
So.
there's no Mavic 4 either. Not out yet.
Not till next year.
No, he must be talking about the Mavic 3, right?
No, he's probably saying Mavic 4.
Or you think it's the Mini 4?
No,
No.
he's probably saying that to make a joke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Saying it was on Marketplace. And it was a scam. Hey, the guy told him it wasn't a scam. Hope you didn't pay more than $50. Now I looked at that. That's supposed to be leaked about a possible Mavic 4. That might be the end of the year. I'm thinking it's going to be the end of the year. Because the Mavic 3 came out and I think it was November.
Yeah, how
I'm
old is the
thinking they're going to
Mavic
try
3
to
now?
sneak it in.
How old is that Mavic 3 now?
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. Same time.
That's why I'm
as-
thinking they're going to sneak the Mavic 4 in before this. Oh, the CCP Act. The good news is the Senate put their managerial bill in on the defense, and there's no drone act in it. So it's going to be a separate bill no matter what.
That was the whole reason they sent it back to the House anyway. They wanted it separated. So
They need it
it's gonna come up
separated.
on its own.
Separated,
Well-
it probably won't go through.
Well, see, but that's the thing, though, is every other bill that they separated out, even the TikTok bill was a standalone bill. That bitch passed with a majority vote. And then now they're putting up, what is it, Temu and AliExpress now are on the chopping block.
Yeah, it's gonna calm down.
I don't know if Trump wins though. He don't really like China, to be honest with you. I think he'll ramp back up if he gets an office.
Well, I'll put it this way, as long as the Mavic 4 comes out, I'm good.
Because he was the only one that put tariffs and shit on China. He was the one that went after China about all the trade.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really like China at the end of the day. Because he
But I'll
wants,
take a Mavic 4. Then that'll be good for 5 or 6 years.
I was surprised. I watched a kid earlier that went over to the UK and he was going around interviewing people during those riots.
Mhm.
I was surprised how many people had fucking Trump stuff on at those rallies. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And they're not even American.
Yep. They got a ad that's on right now for Harris. It says the Trump administration wants to. Oh, God darn it! What was it? Just I gotta go back and read it. I gotta read it exact.
See, I'm still kind of on the fence about that, Russell. I think that Skydio was used by the government. I think it was the other way around. Because they already had Skydio by the balls with all the contracts that they had with them. I think that they used them. I don't think Skydio really wanted anything to do with that at the beginning. Because if you can tell, they're not really trying to get into the regular market. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, they're really not trying with the drones that they are releasing. They're just kind of whatever.
We'll go back to it. I have to wait till it comes back.
I don't know. I have a feeling, just in my opinion, I have a feeling Skydio was used as a scapegoat by the government. I think it was the other way around. The Skydio, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, they do have a market share that they could gain if they want to get into it. But they were already making billions off of government contracts, so it's not like they were really hurting for money. I think Parrot should come back. Yeah, I mean that's a French company, and they make hella good. They've made really good drones back in the day. I don't see why they don't come back. I think Parrots are the ones. Aren't most of the drone shows that are doing the drone shows? They're using Parrot drones, aren't they?
Yeah, something like.
I think a majority of them are actually using Parrot. Did you read the? You were just talking shit about Scadia. No, I did not, Randy.
So in Philadelphia Saturday night, they had a street intersection taken over. Group of people with cars doing all their wheelies and stuff. They even had a guy out there with a flamethrower.
Wants to pay 500.
Steve Carpenter said, Joe, I bit the bullet and bought an about it too.
Hey, what, the best drone in the world? Yeah, that's a good drone.
You're right, Brenda.
Oh.
You're still happy with yours, right, Joe?
Yeah, once he figures out how to fly it.
Huh. You see what he said, Joe? All right, that Joe's not there. Let's see how well I can fly the drone with my right eye retinal problem. I'm gonna call me in right back. Come on, Boo. Come on. Come on, me. Yeah, come on. Come on. Come on. Hurry up. Hurry up. Come on. Yeah. See me. Get over here. Come on. Yeah. So anyway. I guess it's just you and I, Mark.
Yeah. Just getting,
Justin's
Getting
here, he's
around.
just not on camera.
All right.
I'm getting dinner going.
Oh, what are you making?
Just some chicken nuggets and having some chips with them.
Chicken nuggies. All right. Well, that's always a
Kids
good
decided
shot.
that's what they wanted for dinner, so that's what we're having.
Well, I had crispy chili beef with fried rice and mushrooms.
That's something quick and easy to make, and I don't have to use a bunch of dishes because we got
Mhm.
paper plates. So I'm not arguing with it.
Well, now, how many people do you cook for, Justin?
Sarah and the 3 kids, 5 people.
So 5 people. Okay.
Yeah.
2 dogs.
Now, is Sarah a picky eater? She eat anything you cook?
No. The only one that's really picky is Thomas. Everybody else will pretty much eat whatever. The girls are real easy to cook for. They eat damn near anything.
What doesn't Thomas like to eat?
Fuck, dude, he won't eat like 90% of what you make. He's so fucking picky.
Here comes Donald.
Hey,
Now
Dom.
Afternoon.
the girls definitely have my appetite, like my sense of eating. They don't really care. They're not picky at all. I'm not super picky either. I can even sit and stomach eating something I don't like if I'm at somebody's house and that's what they make. I'll sit and eat it anyway. I don't care.
I'm the same way. I will eat almost anything, even British food. See,
Uh-huh.
Mark, that was just a
Little poke, Mark. Little poke.
It's all right. Most food is foreign anyway.
Sorry, I'm back.
Okay, Rod.
I'm shopping.
What are you shopping for?
Drone parts,
Ah,
pieces parts.
Donald,
Hey,
I
hold
think
on.
is cooking. Donald's cooking dinner, right?
Eggs,
Yep.
bacon,
Or-
toast,
Or bling,
applesauce.
or bling kinds of items. I actually ordered some. The second drone that I'm building. Oh my god, I'm spending so much time color matching and oh, it's crazy. So on the frame, I don't know. Anyways, you have these things called standoffs that are sort of the connectors between the top and the bottom of the frame.
Space.
Yeah, the spacers. So they all come as black. I ordered some red ones this morning for this drone so that my standoffs are red too.
Now,
The other thing that I did
Wow.
that I'm doing on this drone, one, because I had a space problem, but in the top and bottom plate, he has this groove down the middle, and he has, let me flip it over. These guys, come on. Yeah. These guys, which were little TPU strips that had a little singular LED in it,
I realized. Oh, I'm making a
which
fog in
was
here. So
which the idea was that it would sort of light the strip up. The problem is
that's
one
right.
of
Down.
one of
Okay.
those below the stack and one of those above the stack makes the space too tight. And so
There.
what was
Maybe
it,
get
yesterday?
deliveries
Yeah,
during-
yesterday I was looking at Race Day quads again because I like the wrecked FPV LEDs, and I happen to notice that they have some 5-volt LEDs. And so with the 5-volt, I have ports on the flight controller where I could just use those ports to plug those in. So instead of using these things, what I'm going to do is put a full
Wyatt.
little section of, like the lights that you saw the other day that go around the outside of the drone.
Right.
I'm going to have a small section of that on the bottom of the plate, and one on the bottom of the plate. So I'm gonna light up the center of all the electronics stuff with those LEDs too.
Well, good for you.
That
Yes,
will.
What are you cooking for dinner, buddy?
A bit of fiber optic cable would have worked just as easily.
Mark, I'm glad you brought that up. So I was looking around on Yegi for 3D print stuff, right? And I ran across a guy who had I think for the Nazgul, he had a custom version of the side plates that he had fiber optic on. So the side emitting fiber optic. What I was trying to figure out was how the hell was he lighting it up? I think he's using a
One LED.
WS20. Yeah, I
Just
think
one
he's using
LED
the.
at one end of it.
I think he's using, if I interpreted correctly in trying to chase down how the hell he was doing that. I think he was actually using, this little circular LED, which is a WS2812, and just gluing the fiber optic onto it and using that as the light source. I think that's what he's doing. So I'm actually highly interested, Mark, in doing a fiber optic lighting on a drone.
Basically, that's the same as the dog collar I've got on my dog. She's got a fiber cable runs down the inside of a pink cloth collar, a webbing collar
Mm-hmm.
with a little power battery at one and rechargeable at one end of it, and you just turn it on and it
It
lights the whole color.
lights the fiber optic up. So it must be side emitting fiber optic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm with you, Mark. I really want to figure out how to put fiber optic versus LEDs. The only downside to the fiber optic, it will not be nearly as bright.
No, not as bright, but it'll be all right for the inside bits where you've not got so much room.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. No,
yeah.
you bring up a good point there. Running it, off on the bottom of the top plate or the top of the bottom plate to sort of light up the electronics bay area. That would work well. That would work really well. So, or, like with my drone where I have the LEDs on the outside, right? I could run fiber optic across the top of the frame.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So, yeah, I'm highly interested in learning how to add fiber optic coloring to the drone.
So Donald, what are you cooking for dinner?
Fried potato soup.
Fried potato soup.
Yep.
That
Potato
sounds
soup. I chop up my potatoes in small chunks and I fry them crispy. And with some onions, so it tastes like fried potatoes and onions. But then I add those back into the soup after like the last half hour.
What do you use for a base on the soup?
I do like a roux and use some stock and milk and then just season.
Okay. So it's like a creamy. Okay.
Like a creamy potato soup. Throw in a handful of bacon bits, like real
That was
bacon
yummy.
bits.
I love baked potato soup at like the restaurants and stuff.
Yeah.
I can't have it on my diet at the moment, but I like it.
I've never seen anybody do like the fried potato soup like this though.
Yeah,
This
that
came-
sounds a little different. Sounds yummy though. Sounds really yummy.
I had because I love the flavor of like a fried potato, that crispy fried potato.
Oh yeah.
Put that in potato soup. Oh, so good.
So
Yeah.
where's the cream and the butter at?
Right now, the butter is in this pot, getting ready to add my flour as soon as that's melted to make my roux.
Come on, you got to add the sour cream to the baked potato.
Well, it's not really a baked potato.
Yeah, I know.
Fried
I'm
potato, but,
I'm teasing.
I already had this out. I'm gonna add just
Just a dash.
I'm gonna add just a little bit to the
yeah, just to give it the flavor.
because the problem with doing this is it comes out very base. And so I always have to add vinegar or something to it. I figured sour cream would be a great
Mm-hmm.
How many
Addition.
people are you cooking for, Don?
5 adults and 2 children.
Okay.
I'll put a bit of it in the liquidizer and give it the baby as well.
Oh, I'm sure she'll get bites.
I don't know. I think a little rum inside of there would probably make it taste yummy because rum is sugary.
Yeah, I think at a certain point you start.
Either that or the white wine. There you go. Put a little white wine in it.
You start making it a little too fancy.
Yeah. I
You
know.
want it to taste like a
Wait,
pan full of fried potatoes and onions, like over a campfire.
Yeah. No, I got you.
Try, try substituting your onions with leeks.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
I don't have any leeks in the house. I had potatoes and onions in the house.
Oh well, you make
Mhm.
what you've
I
got.
don't keep leeks. I always keep potatoes and onions in the house, but I never keep leeks. I'm
Try
not sure.
grow-
Because
try
I'm sure
growing them.
Had a leak. I don't know if I can remember a leak.
Try growing them. They're easy.
they have them in Publix down here.
Oh, they've got them at the store. I just
Never use them. Got it.
no.
They're great in stews and casseroles.
and while Donald's working so hard, I just air fried a couple of chicken strips and making a burrito out of chicken with a little buffalo, like a little buffalo chicken burrito, little ranch, little salad. A lot easier. But the soup
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah, I get it. You're cooking Louisiana style. Up here in Missouri, we take a little more pride in our food.
No, I'm just cooking for me.
A little more pride in the food up north. That's what he said.
So, Mark,
Uh-huh.
let me use your electrical knowledge since you're obviously really experienced in there. So the XT60 connector that I got on this drone, what I'm finding is I hate it because it's using 10 og wires. I just
Mhm.
put the wire cutters on it. So I ordered most of them are 12 or 14, but I found a 16. Think that's good enough for a drone connector? Should be 16 odd should
It's just
carry.
a- yeah.
I'm just getting to the point of I get why they go with the heavier gauge kind of stuff, but it's like it's a drone. It's not push. It's 6S. It's only 22 volts.
It don't voltage does not matter.
Yeah.
It's
It's also not much amps.
it's ampage that matters. The
Yeah,
more
but-
amps, the more amps you need, the thicker the wire you need.
Yeah, but a drone doesn't pull that many amps.
Probably not.
I mean, the entire battery out of 6S the typical battery is going to be 1300 or 1500 milliamps. And that lasts you.
Well, your ampage is just going to be your power divided by your volts.
Yeah. But anyways, just as an example, let's say you take a 1500 milliamp, right? And you go 3 minutes, whatever.
Oh, I can go move my truck up.
So 1500 divided by 180 would tell you, because it'd be 180 seconds. I'd tell you how many milliamps a second that you're using, which is 15 milliamps, not even amps.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it's high. It's literally not high amperage.
No.
So okay,
But
good.
like I said, what wattage is your motor?
Now that's an interesting question. I don't even know that they list wattage on motors.
Huh.
I know which motors I got, but I don't think I've literally ever seen wattage listed as part of the specification.
So what does it list on it? Milliamp.
KV. Oh, wait.
KV,
You know what? You might actually be right. X Nova 2207, whatever.
KVA is
Yeah, they list KVA. They list KVA.
yeah. Well, that's volts times amps, which is watts.
Oh, got it. So for this drone, these 2207s are, I think, 1950 kVA.
Right.
I guess never understood what the kVA was.
Mm. I can't see him being that many watts, so it must have a divider in it.
Yeah. Again, the back. Oh, let me pull up calculator and do the math.
Do a quick.
1500 divide 180. We normally get more than 3 minutes out of a 6S. It's more like closer to 5.
Mm.
So that's literally 8.3 milliamp hours a second. It's a little over 8 milliamps.
You
a
can't have
second.
milliamp hours per second, yeah.
Well, yeah, but
You can have
you
milliamp
kind of get the
milliamp
point, right?
seconds, yeah.
It's not a lot.
No.
If that's the amount of milliamp hours that I'm burning a second off of 1500, it's not a lot of amperage. So actually, that's true. So the flight controller on this one is a 60 amp. But I don't think the motors at full speed actually pull that. But I don't know. Is this the motors I got? Proto 5. Which ones do I got? 20.
So right, yeah, KVA stands for kilovolt amps.
Oh, that's right. These are the 2208s.
Yeah. So
Motors.
what's the KVA again? Did you say 19?
1950, I think, is what these are.
1950.
Yes, sir. You can see why I'm asking you. You kind of know seem to know the electronics crap.
And what volts is it?
Yes,
So that's 6 times
24 volt, 24 volts out of a 6S. 24. Or no, yeah,
22.
Figure 24. It's really 22.
Yeah. I think it's 22 point, because it's 3.8 volts per cell, isn't it?
4.2,
No,
4.2,
go.
4.2.
4.2?
At full, it's 4.2 volts per cell.
Right, so 4.2 times 20 times 6 is 25.2.
Lightning 0820. Where the hell's the lightning? Freestyle. I can find the right ones.
Hmm.
There they are. $100 for 4 of them. So here, let me share. Maybe this will make more sense to you, Mark, than it does me looking at it. But
that can't be right. According to that, that's 77,380 amps. That ain't right.
so mine, they don't show the 2000 kV. So they come They come, yeah, see, they have a 1500. That was way too slow. 19, 2000, 23, and 25. 23 and 25 are really 4S. 2000, because I have 2050s on my Nazgul, and I can tell you, yeah, I kind of wish I'd have made them 1950s instead of going from 1750 to 2050. The 2050s seem like almost too much. So anyways, these are the 22.8s, 2000 kV. But anyways, here you can look at the specs here on say the 1900, right? So here's the actual amperage. So at full throttle, it's like 41 amps. And the 2300 is like 50 amps. So, the 2000 is probably like 42 and a half, 43 amps max. I don't know if that helps. Here's the watts. So this column is also the watts. That it's burning. I don't know if that helps you with whatever the calculation was that you were trying to figure out.
Not really, because I can't read that.
Oh, got it. Here. There. Is that better?
Not on my phone. No, not really.
Oh yeah, not on the phone. Never mind. Okay. Scratch that idea. Yeah, it was worth an effort. So anyways, at full power, that motor is pulling 43 watt or 43 amps per motor. So actually, that's an interesting question. What they don't show on here is that 40 amps per motor or 40 amps for all four motors? They don't actually kind of specify. I don't know how they do that specification, whether that's per motor or per set of motors. Probably per set, because the actual flight controller is limited right to like 55 amp. But I don't know on the flight controller if it's 55 amps per per motor.
Does the flight controller
Or total
all four motors, or is
the
one
the ESC runs all four motors. In the case of the SpeedyBee stack, the ESC is 60 amps. So I presume these specs that they show for amperage are for all four motors. So that would literally put each motor at just a hair over 10 amps.
No, it would supply the same ampage to each motor.
Yeah, it should. But at max, say on these 1900 kVs, at max, it's about 42 amps total for the four motors, is my guess. There's no way it's 42 amps per motor, because that's like 100 and whatever.
Clouds and showers with a high of 70.
So I think that's the total amperage that those motors would pull at full power.
Yeah,
is about 42 amps. Again, okay, I think the 16 AUG can handle that kind of.
well, 42 amps is quite a lot.
Yeah, it is. It's okay. I got some 14 AUG connectors too. Actually, I ordered some just XT60 connectors so I can decide and build my own damn wires.
Yeah.
It's solder my own and make it what I want. So what I know I don't want is I don't want 10 AUG. The damn wires are too thick and too stiff.
Yeah.
At that size. It's like, and 12 is probably not much different. So I need at least 14. So I'll try the 16s and see how it works. If I don't like it, fine. I'll put 14s on it. Anyways, sorry for the technical discussion if you don't like technical discussions. I'm a tech guy. I like technical discussions. It's interesting. Okay, actually, Pyrodrone. Let me look at the 2 reviews that they have on this 16 odd connector on Pyrodrone. Okay, where's the? Yeah. Okay. You show 2 reviews, but you don't show me the reviews. I don't think he has 2 reviews because I don't see anything on this page that says, hey, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Maybe I should go back and look at
Well,
Amazon where I
it's
ordered them.
It's pretty weird because according to this, 1 kVA is 2.78 amp.
Is how much amp?
2.78.
Per kVA?
Yeah. That's a lot. That's like a
That'd be like 2,000 plus amps.
No, 7,000 amp.
Yeah, okay. Something seems off with that. With how this is working, with how that's working out.
Yeah,
it's obviously divided down.
I have a feeling that that's working on AC, not DC.
Oh yeah, that may be a good point because this is DC.
Later, Brenda.
Yeah. Anyways, the
care.
reviews on the one I ordered basically have no reviews, so I don't know what people were using them for, and all I can do is try it and see whether it works.
Thanks, Brenda, for stopping by.
I know they make them, but I'm not sure I'm interested in putting one in. They make those spark protectors. Apparently, it's a board that you wire in on the negative connector.
Who's recording what?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm thinking. I didn't hit record. I didn't hit anything.
I don't see it. I see recording, but I don't see who.
Yeah, my record button is gray, so not me.
Mine's
Not me.
gray.
Definitely not me. Because I'm not even looking at it.
Maybe one of Justin's kids walked up and took over his keyboard.
Ever since
me.
Andrew got here. Are you
What's
recording,
going on?
Andrew?
Huh?
Did you hit record button on Zoom?
No.
No, I'm not. I'm not at my computer, so it wasn't good.
No. No, Andrew.
Where
Andrew.
is the
I just
record?
walked in.
Huh.
How do you record on Zoom? I don't.
Down on the bottom, there's a button that says record. Menu option on the
It does
bottom.
say this meeting is being recorded. It says so on mine.
Yep, that's what
But
mine
if-
said. It's recorded.
But if it's normal, it's probably you, Paul. Who
Yeah,
else is?
it's
Who else
recorded.
is?
So if I hit record, start recording.
Yeah, my record though.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I sent the
Okay,
message. So
somebody-
somebody hit that record button.
I don't
just
have
hit- I
record
can
on
hit
the
it.
bottom of my menu.
Really?
I've got on the left to right. I got the
Do you have the Zoom app or the web interface?
I'm on a Zoom workplace.
No, it's probably because his probably falls under a longer menu and he just doesn't see it.
Yeah, that
It
could
does-
be.
More options.
That
It
could
does
be
say
being the
This
host.
meeting is being recorded. Anyone with access to the recording may view or share it with others.
Anyone with access to the link might be able to access recording it.
No, only if they actually join the meeting.
So now our technical discussion has moved from electrical to Zoom operations.
Yeah.
Welcome to Zoom Operations 101.
Yeah,
Featuring-
exactly. How do you use? How do you
featuring
record it? How do you record in Zoom?
Featuring
fact,
your instructors for
I
today,
can-
Rod and Joe.
The only
No,
person,
not me.
the only person
Me.
with a red camera next to the name, even though it has a line through it now, is Justin.
Mm. So he hit
Everybody
it
I don't
on,
have
he
any
hit the
place-
button
I don't
and
have
didn't
any
realize
place
it.
on my screen that says record.
Everybody else is what's it? If you look at the participants, it will tell you who's recording. There's a little picture of a camera next to the microphone.
Say, Rod, I heard Mr. Cantori is down your way.
Who?
Ken
Mr.
Heron.
Cantori
Oh.
from the Weather Channel.
Oh no. different one.
Oh, Cantor. Yeah. I'm sure he's over in Appalachia. Maybe he's sitting in Mexico Beach. What he should
He's
do
doing
is
like
go to
Eric.
He should go to Mexico Beach and go inside that one house that those engineers built that survived Michael. In fact, their house didn't even get a fucking scratch.
When was Michael?
5 years ago?
Oh, okay. All right.
That was a Cat 5. And that
Where do
house
they-
freaking
where-
survived.
What are they saying for your area?
2 to 4
How much-
inches of rain.
Only 4 inches?
Or at least the last time I looked. But I think that's a way underestimate. Looking at the size of this thing, I think that's a way underestimate because it's gonna rain for 2 days straight, would be my guess, if not
than that,
more.
it's Probably about 8 inches, 10 inches.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be a bunch looking at the
Right.
size of this thing.
It looks like it's going to hit up near the
Appalachia.
armpit of Florida.
Apalachicola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Up
gonna
near
run
that.
almost right over top of, assuming the pass stays where it is. Either way, it's gonna be way too close to Tallahassee.
Yeah.
And Tallahassee is known for having trees freaking up and down all of the streets and everything else. So this
Mhm.
thing is gonna cause a nasty mess.
And then so go up through
Really
Georgia
nasty
and veer
mess.
west, and then veer northwest, and then go up between Tennessee and South Carolina.
Tennessee.
Yep.
Eventually it could end up in Illinois. Last
Yeah,
time I looked
that's-
at the bubble.
I think there's a front or something sitting off Virginia steering this.
Could be.
Are you expecting
bubble.
anything from this storm, Joe and Don?
Joe's expecting a suntan from this storm. He says they're not even going to get clouds over his
Yeah,
way.
you're right.
He's going to go out and catch himself a suntan. He might even put a Speedo on to attract those girls that live over in that other apartment.
Oh, hell no.
That'd be fun. Now,
Oh, come
now,
on,
Rod, that
Joe.
would be
You
a
got to
s-
be adventurous.
that'd be a sight.
Yeah, that'd be a sight, all right. Which is why Joe
It'd be a
said the
sight,
comment he
not the
did.
kind of sight you want to see.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah, there are certain realities in life when you age.
Well, certain people should wear them, and some should not.
Oh God, don't get me on that subject. I saw a lady walk through. Let's just say this. I saw a lady walk through the Charlotte airport in a pair of pants and she should not have been wearing.
Tight pants.
Tight, thin white ones on about a 250 on a 250-pound girl. Ugh. It's like, God, did I really have to see that walk by?
That's what you
Really?
call all button rubber.
Yeah, it was just like, oh God, please take that image out of my head. Please take this nightmare image out of my head.
That brings a phrase to mind from Runway. Things that make you go. "Ugh."
Yeah, exactly. I don't get it. You know, I get how you get that size, but dress appropriately.
Eating too many too much deep fried.
Whatever.
too many
It could be
radish-
a lot. It could be lots of things. There's lots of reasons. They could have they could have had diabetes all their life. You don't know. There are, or they were poor and only could eat the cheap food. Guess what?
Oh,
All the cheap food in the US will fucking make you fat.
Yeah, and if
Corn-
you're cooking
corn
deep fried food
fat.
all the time, you're gonna end up. You could end up fat.
So you're also not alone because what? More than 50% of the people in the US are obese.
Yes, Randy, that's who I was referring to. Jim Cantori.
Yeah. Jim Cantori. Yeah. I'm sure him and several other crews are all hanging out over there by Appalachia. And
He-
Jim's probably guessing, trying to figure
He
out where
is-
he loves to be at the center of it. So
Yep.
He-
he has a knack for showing up in the right place. You really don't want
But
him showing
it-
up.
but it was just north of Tampa where he was. Port Richey.
Oh, yeah, well, they're probably going to follow it. He's probably going to start out there when the northern parts of the storm come up, and then he'll take off and go to wherever he thinks it's going to come on shore.
They spotted his Explorer, so
Well, maybe he flew into Tampa and he's driving up to the Panhandle. That could be.
I don't know where he would drive from.
From Tampa up
Yeah.
into the Panhandle.
But it had the Weather Channel vinyl wrap on it.
Yeah, do you not think Weather Channel doesn't have vehicles down here?
I don't know where their headquarters is. I don't know.
Atlanta, actually.
Okay. So he could have driven from Atlanta, which would have been a ways.
Or the vehicle could have been down here because they probably have
They probably have more than one.
auxiliary offices. Which wouldn't surprise me. Hello, hurricanes hit from Texas to Florida, so you don't necessarily want everybody driving. You don't want everything in Atlanta kind of thing.
Yeah, well, Atlanta traffic is already bad.
Yeah, exactly. I
No
lived there
matter
for
what-
2 years, hated it.
Only around 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. is it decent.
No, actually, it's more about 1 a.m. to about 4 a.m. Then it's not bad. 11, 12. Oh, yeah, it can still be pretty damn busy down there.
Neighbor's kid went to University of Auburn just over the Alabama border and used to hit Atlanta about midnight, 1 a.m. That was the
Okay.
only way to get to Atlanta.
So this guy doesn't have much for antennas that I haven't already seen. Bumming.
So how you feeling, Joe? Feeling any better?
I'm still feeling kind of, I got that, I'm good, then all of a sudden I cough a little bit, then I'm good, then I'm coughing a little bit.
But
I
are
got
you
that- it-
are you feeling a little bit better?
I'm feeling a little bit better.
At
When I
least
get in
we're
a
trending-
cough, I'll get into a coughing fit, well, geez.
At least you're trending upwards a little bit.
Joe's experiencing the Hershey squirts.
No, that was just yesterday. That was just that brisket I ate.
He put too much hot sauce
Yeah.
in something.
No, it was just a brisket. I bought one from Arby's and it cleaned me out.
Huh, interesting.
Now I got the water pills in me.
So
Like I said, I put my slide on and I couldn't
Arby's.
get my foot in.
Have the squirts.
you
Yeah.
know, that probably means the kid that made your sandwich didn't have his gloves on.
Could have been.
Could be.
You never know about those restaurants
He probably
sometimes.
just came out of the bathroom.
Yeah, it could be that too.
Because a lot of restaurants, they put up the big sign in the bathroom next to the sink. Employees wash hands before
But
returning
doesn't
to
mean
work.
they're gonna do it.
Doesn't,
I
and it
know.
doesn't mean half of the employees that work there read.
So
You
Paul,
can't lead a horse to water and make him drink. but you
Yeah,
can drown them.
the local newspaper here, I love reading the article. But they do an article every week on the health department inspections of the restaurants in the area and sort of report. So they do a whole thing on the report. You wouldn't believe how many freaking times, oh, employee went and did XYZ and forgot to wash their hands before they went back and started making this or that. You'd think in that industry that would be pounded into their freaking heads.
That's all management. That's all it is.
Uh, bad management.
Happens quite a bit.
It's management not getting them and not keeping them in order. Because when I ran Pizza Hut, the restaurant, no
Yep.
way. You
The
walk,
other
you
one-
better you answer the phone, you wash your hands before you go back.
The other thing that seems to be pretty common is in the refrigerator putting raw food on top.
Yeah, you can't do that. You got to put it on the bottom.
Yeah, where they've stacked it wrong, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
the raw can
Oh.
drip down into the cooked, and they get snagged for that shit a lot on these reports. And it's just like, really? You guys didn't know this? How the hell can you screw that up? That should be, all those shells should be just like marked. Here's where everything goes. That way nobody can fuck it up.
My Pizza Hut was ranked number 14th in the nation. They used to come in to just show people what my store was, my restaurant was.
Mm-hmm.
My last serve safe inspection, when they come in and they're there about an hour and a half watching everything and looking at everything, I got a 97 on
Holy
out of
fuck.
100, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Now, you know how I missed 100?
Uh-uh.
He was closing the thing out and couldn't believe he was about to give me 100. And one of my drivers cut a pan pizza, put it in the box, and didn't put the little thing in there. to
Oh,
stop
the
it from
little
hitting the top.
plastic thing?
Plastic
Yeah.
Oh,
Didn't put that in the top and closed the box. And he was standing there, and I saw it from across the store. And I said, Corbin, put a little topper in. He goes, oh yeah, that's right. And Corbin, right now, Corbin is a surgeon. That's the brain he has. But he was talking to the guy and he didn't pay attention to it.
Yeah,
Took-
distracted.
I lost 3 points.
I get it. Things can happen. Your mind is somewhere else, whatever. But
But I lost 3 points, and I told the guys that you had it closed out. He says, yeah, but he messed it up.
but you
That
got it.
still
But
hurts
you
me.
did everything according to spec.
He was looking for an excuse not to give you 100. That's what it was.
Oh, that's all it was.
I
Yeah,
don't think
yeah.
I don't think they like to give 100.
They didn't
no,
always
they
do it.
don't. So
Well, I mean, you could-
the other one that seems to be common in these stories is where they're not keeping the food in the food drawer at the right temperature. It's supposed to be like 41 degrees or something like that, and they keep measuring it at like 46. And it's just like, how the hell can they not be checking that shit?
I mean, you can be a good manager, but some people just personally are just nasty. I've literally watched people when I worked at Walmart go in there and go to the bathroom and not wash their hands and just walk out. Like
Yeah.
employees and customers. Some people are just nasty like that.
Anyways, my point being, Joe, there are some things that are kind of common that it's just like,
Well, yeah.
how the hell can you, stacking the food wrong inside of the refrigerator? Really? The manager didn't know that? They don't freaking have signs on the shelves. Here's what goes where, so that somebody
It
doesn't
signs
get
on everything.
confused. It not remember where the hell shit's supposed to be, so they stacked it wrong. They're not checking the freaking temperature in the cold holding
that
thing,
can-
or
Yeah.
the other one is the hot food. that they're not keeping it hot enough when they're stored, it kind of thing.
Yeah.
They let it get too cool. That's another kind of common thing. And
Well, we didn't have the hot food issue
yeah,
because it was as it came out. The only, and then we had a hot box that if somebody, it was somebody picking up, pizza went straight into the hot box.
yeah.
That kept it at 160.
But you know
gotta
what I
watch-
mean, right? Those types of things you would think a restaurant would just like couldn't
Yeah.
get wrong.
I'll tell you the
If they're
biggest
paying
thing you get
attention.
caught on. The biggest thing you get caught on is two things. The soft drinks.
Not
Will go
cleaning the
get you.
machines.
No, the soft drinks will get you because they'll stock them, but they won't rotate them.
Yes.
And then they'll have a drink in the back that's been in the back that didn't get to the front. And when they get it to, there'll be an expiration date on it.
Oh,
That's the
gotcha.
big thing.
Yeah.
You know, and you had to self-load those things. You loaded them from the front. That's the bad part. You know, but and the other thing with the sauces, that's the biggest hit you get. The sauces, you got to remember the ones that you don't sell as much, like blue cheese.
You gotta remember
blue
to throw them
cheese,
away.
you check it every night. Every
we
night
got-
you're supposed to check them because you got to put a label on there saying it was checked, and it's a 2-day label. It's good for 2 days. Nobody will, if you put a label on there now, the inspectors will go through it, and I'll go through it when I get there. But if I went through, I found a label on it, somebody said this was good, and I found in there, me and them would have a talk because I don't want an inspector to catch it.
We had a department manager at Walmart got fired because we ended up throwing out $4,000 worth of candy because he wasn't rotating it. He was a department
Oh, wow.
manager over the candy.
You know, the one
Yeah.
thing the drill sergeant will teach you from day one is pay the fuck attention to the details.
Yep.
The military
attention to
pounds the military pounds that into your head every fucking day. Pay attention to the details. And as I used to tell my kids, it's the small shit that will kill you. And I think I've told
Yep.
this story before, but there was a Army Reserve unit down the street from me that went to the first Gulf War. They got a guy killed. They were water purification. You know, they should have been behind the lines. How the hell did they get killed? So they had an armored track vehicle, and the kid lifted up the deck plate for the engine compartment and was down in the engine compartment working on it. And a buddy of his was up on top, sort of cleaning the top and, you know, unpacking and whatever kind of thing. And his buddy on the top fell, and he hit that gate because it was up, and it fell over, and it crushed the guy in the engine compartment. You know why it fell over? You know why it fell over? I used to tell this story to my kids all the time. This is a story I use for pay attention to the details. It's the little shit that will literally kill you. In this case, the little shit was when he put the deck plate up, he never put the safety pin in.
Retaining pin.
Literally,
Oh.
because he didn't
Retaining-
put a safety pin, he died
Because of a safety pin.
He literally died because of a safety pin. It was the little shit that killed him. It wasn't the bad guys
Yeah.
that killed him. It was the little shit.
Andrew, not a safety pin like for a diaper. We're talking like a
Yeah,
retaining
I
pin.
know.
Yeah,
I know what he's
retaining
talking
pin,
about,
yeah.
Don.
Yeah. Literally, he didn't put the safety pin in when he lifted the deck plate up so that the thing couldn't fall back on him.
Yeah,
And he literally lost his life over something stupid as that.
I was in a hurry to get to work one day, and I had a Lincoln Continental, and when I went to start, it didn't start. So I opened up the hood real fast, and the Lincoln Continental, my Lincoln, what I forgot about it was that the hydraulics on the hood sometimes would slip. So I had a little screwdriver. I'd stick there to make sure it didn't come down.
Mm.
I had one. It was a broken screwdriver. I just stick right in the pause like a pin. And I pushed it up real fast, walked around the car to get my toolbox because I wanted to see if I had to jump it, you know. Or it looked like the cable was loose. So I just tightened the cable. And as I put the thing down, I put my hand on the hood, on the inside of the hood. And as I dropped the toolbox on the top of the car, on the
Mhm.
side, the hood slammed.
Ouch.
and I had my fingers like right here. It hit my fingers right here, and my fingers were stuck up in there. And it not only slammed, but it locked in the front.
Oh God.
Now let me tell you, I'm in the middle of the right over the wheel well with my hands stuck up in here, nobody around, and there's no way to get inside to unlock it or go around to unlock it.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
dude,
you're
there's-
I'm
stuck.
sitting
So
there,
Unless
just
you're gonna
in
grow
pain.
longer arms.
that was pre-cell phone,
saying-
right?
There's nothing
Uh,
more
I-
annoying than a
my cell
hatch
phone was
not-
in the car.
Uh,
That was the other thing. My cell phone was on my seat. Couldn't
Yeah,
get
there's
to it.
nothing more annoying than a hood or a hatch that won't stay open because the hydraulics are done fucked on it. And you know the bad thing about those is half of the vehicles you can't even get those except from the dealer.
Yeah.
The newer cars, good luck trying to find an auto parts store that carries the hydraulics for your car.
Aren't they supposed to have the safety arm for that reason?
Yeah,
No
some of
matter,
them.
no matter
they have
what,
that.
no matter what holds them,
They sh-
whether
they
it's
should want it-
hydraulics or
have one anyway.
springs.
well,
I've
certain,
had cars that didn't have them.
Yeah, me too.
I've seen about 2 years ago the 2016 Pilot recalled because the little lever that keeps the hood latch shut
Mm-hmm.
can break.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to replace the
Yeah,
hatch.
imagine what happens to your windshield when that happens and the hood
Yeah.
flips up to your windshield at 70 mile an hour down the highway.
That's 'cause
Yeah, the
these fucking cars.
BMW's hood or bonnet, as we call it, is only held open by hydraulic struts.
Well, what's
Yeah.
stupid is these car companies, instead of just keeping the same latch that's worked for years, it's like, oh, let's redesign it every fucking year.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And I'm
It's
like, if it's broken, why the hell would you try to redesign it? It's working.
If it's
Probably try to
working,
save money.
don't fix
Not
it.
broken.
Yeah, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, but
I-
Rod, my
that's-
hand was in there. My hand was in there, and I looked around to see if I could see anybody. And just the way it was, I couldn't even get my fingers underneath it to grab it to move it.
Mm-hmm.
It was how bad it was. And I'm sitting there and I looked at it and said, well, this is stupid. I said, I have got to get my hand out. So I just, with all the pressure I could, just pull my hand up a little bit, was able to get up just a little bit and got my other hand in, and was able to lift it up enough to pull it up.
You had the toolbox, right? And you use a screwdriver or something.
The
to sort of-
toolbox was on the side. When I put it down, like I said, on the car, I didn't even think about, I was more worried about, did I have fingers?
Oh
left, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's another interesting discussion kinds of things, which is how people react when emergencies happen.
Well, my thing is that I was lucky. My fingers were bent. You know how you grab something, you bend your fingers?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
My fingers had bent. So when it came in, it jammed them in between.
Yeah.
If I would've had my
You
fingers
got
straight out, I'd have
lucky.
lost
You got lucky.
Yeah.
You definitely
Like,
got
Because I had bruised all across them. But it didn't even break the skin. But did it hurt? Oh, geez, and did it hurt?
Oh, that must have hurt like a mother effer.
Oh, it did. And you were talking
wa-
about the windshield. I'm driving the other day in the rain, and a car flies by me, and we're going up an overpass over here in Mandeville, and he hits a sheet of water, comes back, hits my windshield. I can't see nothing. 65 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't see nothing, and I knew I was going up the interstate. So all I did was just take my foot off the accelerator and say, "Okay, come on, wipers, clean."
Yeah, exactly. You slow down
And
so
it did,
you
'cause I
don't
didn't
run
want to
into
go
the
any
back.
further than I had to. They had a car in front of me that was pretty close. And I was thinking if people are hydroplaning, I don't want to hit anybody.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why we do what we do in the military with training, and why we
That
repeat
explains
things
it.
over and over and over and over before we ever go do missions.
Yep.
Is because of the fog of war. You got to be able to complete your task, or the fucking grenade goes off 10 yards to the side of you.
Yep.
You gotta stay on and not let distractions get you off. So generally, folks who have served in the military handle emergency situation better
different.
because their brains tend to just kick in and react because that's the way we've been taught in the military, right? You just you react, you
Yeah.
do things repetitively so often that you just don't have to freaking think
Yeah.
about it. You just do.
Oh yeah.
And so
It-
people who haven't been through that, I mean, that's not to say that other people can't react the same way, but you'll notice that some people are what I call deer in headlights. Something happens and
Yeah.
it's just like
They
You
freeze.
know what to
they
do.
just freeze. It's strange but real. Well, fight or flight, right?
Yeah. Well, last year at that basketball game, it was a JV game. I was taking a picture right before halftime, and the kid grabbed it. It was about 3 seconds left. Grabbed it, and as he grabbed it, I figured he was just going to dribble it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at I got my 300. I got my 120 lens on, so I'm shooting a picture of him. I just bring the camera up to shoot the scoreboard to show my difference in time.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, I got this enormous explosion next to me, like that. And it was like my reaction. If you watch, it was like this. It went. And I went.
Yeah.
I just boom, and I went. What was that? You know, he
Yeah.
threw the basketball, and it hit. It actually brushed my arm, and it hit, and I didn't even react.
Yeah. Again,
Yeah, I
that's
just
that
react-
that's that military thing. Complete the mission, right? It's just kind of ingrained into your
And
head.
one of the kids run up to me. You didn't even react to that. I said, Marine.
Yeah, exactly.
Marine.
You
I
know,
didn't even see it.
when you put your mind on a mission, you're on the mission, and other shit just doesn't get in the way. You're on the mission. You complete the mission.
Always for the mission.
I mean, if you want to know the secret to the Delta Force and SEALs always accomplishing the mission, it's because before they fucking go do it, they've done it about 100 times. They could literally do it with their freaking eyes closed,
Yep,
no matter what's going on. And they've got
So-
not plan A, plan B, plan C. They got plan A to plan Z.
Say,
when
Brad,
they
check
do it.
out that link I just put in the chat. You might find that interesting with the new planes that we come out with. New warplane.
Which one?
430 It's the 437 Vanguard.
What?
It's called the 437 Vanguard.
Oh, this is the assistant, the drone assistant that they're working on for yeah.
But it looks 41 foot
You realize
across.
what's coming with 6th gen, right?
Full AI.
No,
Full AI for the drones. So with 6th
Yeah.
gen for every plane, there will be God knows how many 6 plus drones that are also part of the plane and connected to the plane that are flying with the plane. This is part of what we're doing with 6th gen. Now imagine you're a bad guy trying to shoot that guy down and you got 7 targets in the air. Which one do you shoot?
Yeah.
You only got so many missiles, right?
I quote Doc Holliday when he says, "I got 2 guns, one for each of you."
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, exactly.
One for each of you.
It says this one's being made by Northrop Grumman.
Yeah.
As long as it's not Boeing.
Hey,
Yeah.
Grumman makes the Global Hawk and a couple of others. So, well, Grumman's also the one that did the SR-71, right? Skunk Works.
Well, it
Hey,
says
Paul.
range 3,000 nautical miles and endurance of 6 hours and payload of 2,000 pounds.
Okay, so a couple of Hellfire missiles. Great.
Did you
Rod?
cancel that drone?
What's that?
That drone, Neil,
KVA,
did you cancel it?
Yeah, they canceled.
Rod, KVA has to be calculated using the load voltage, not the actual line voltage.
Huh.
Yeah,
Interesting.
they were Rotor Riot. It must be good people because they got back with me right away and says that your drone has been canceled, and if you get three to 5 days, you'll have your refund.
What drone did you order?
The Neo. Again.
Everybody says they're good, upstanding people. So
Yeah, Rotorite. Yeah.
I haven't heard anything bad about him.
It's the way you had to do business.
Bardwell used to work there. He's still associated with them. Joshua Bardwell, i.e., one of the big guys in FPV on YouTube.
Yeah.
Bardwell is the guy. He fucking knows Betaflight inside out, backwards and forwards, with his eyes closed.
Are you saying he could build Betaflight as well?
I don't know about build Betaflight, but he sure as hell knows everything about building a drone. And
By
I mean,
build, I mean like
every
program.
freaking thing. No, well, actually, he has contributed. If you go look at the Betaflight GitHub site, they list Bardwell as a contributor. Believe it or not. So,
Technically, you could have made some contributions.
not me.
You
I
have
can
enough-
code. I can code. I probably could. I can code anything, given enough time.
if they needed a third set of eyes to look at it.
I can pretty well take any piece of software apart. Because the first thing I learned in coding was the logic. It's the logic is the most important part. The actual language doesn't freaking matter. All the languages are all pretty similar. They all have kind of sort of similar syntax. It's
I do
literally
that VBA file for Excel. Just okay. I don't know all the language, but I know what I want to do. So I get out a whiteboard and I would just put it in my language.
Yep.
What I want to do step by step, figure out the routine on a whiteboard. And then each step I'd just go to Google and say, how do I do this?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That is one way to do it.
So here's an interesting story for you about that. So Microsoft, the last several years, has been redoing all of the buildings in Redmond. You want to know what the number one request from the employees were?
Wall size whiteboards.
Yep.
I used
So
to have
every building, the walls are slidable and all of the walls are whiteboards.
I used to have a 4x6 whiteboard back in my edit suite.
But
so whenever I wanted to think something out, grab markers and just all right.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about, Don. Before you ever sit down and write the first fucking piece of code, you need to map it out and you know, have a roadmap and a path of how you want to put this code together so that you don't end up painting yourself into a corner when you do shit. So the flowcharting and logic is the heart and soul of coding. The actual language really is.
I miss that whiteboard.
You need to fit the same kind of blackboards that we used to have at school.
Squeaky chalk. Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah, but our blackboards were like a flexible rubberized material on roller blinds kind of thing, so that it was, you know, you only had, say, 6 foot of it showing, but then you slid it up and it just rolled, and it was about 20 meters long altogether. So you could have all sorts of crap on it, and you just keep rolling it backwards and forwards up and down the wall.
It looks like it sounds like an old time movie screen.
There's a modern version of that called it's called Smartboard. Smartboard, where you can touch it and then write on it, and it writes onto your computer.
So, anyways, for Microsoft, that was literally the number one requested thing when they redid the office from the employees was more whiteboards.
Yeah, I miss
my
literally
whiteboard. They whiteboard freaking everything.
That's how I thought. I would, cause I couldn't think sitting down. I still have a hard time thinking, sitting down. I want to stand up and move. And I miss having that big whiteboard that I could stand up, walk back and forth, and
Mhm.
think on my feet, and then sit
Mhm.
down. And
Yeah, yeah.
Don, this is the huge whiteboard where it's got the wheels and keep moving it so he can keep thinking.
So, hey, Dodd, you'll
Worst part
love.
about, worst part
no,
about
4x6 was plenty good.
the worst part about me is I just still write it all in my head and doodle on the whiteboard.
Well,
So-
I'm still thinking in my head, yes, of course, but even if I'm changing things, that is my thought process. You could see that when I was writing like a script or something, that's what I do. It'd be like, okay, well, I need to start generic, and then okay, we need this here call to action, and I would write up there as well. And it's really hard to sit in front of a word processor for me and do that kind of stuff.
So one of the techniques that I use when I talk to developers, because I do database performance. So I've looked at database code for like 30 years. So I kind of know what the hell the apps are doing, even though I don't know what the front end of the app is. And I can't tell you how many times I've looked at something and went, what in the hell are they? What kind of question are they freaking asking of the database here? It's just
Well-
like, what? But the question that I asked them, Don, and you'll love this one. Please explain to me in plain English what you were trying to do, right? And you would not believe how many times I've helped people solve their own damn problem by simply just stated in English what we were trying to do. Now,
they're
what you
trying
just
to
said,
do-
look at the code.
The rubber
Now tell me
ducky.
that matches.
The rubber ducky. Put a rubber ducky by your computer and tell your rubber ducky exactly what you're doing. Rubber duckies are stupid, so you have to explain it to them very simply. And you
Uh-huh.
talk to the rubber ducky,
Mm-hmm.
and halfway through explaining to a rubber ducky, you go, "Oh yeah, that's why it's not working."
Yeah, exactly. I can't tell you how many times I've helped
And
people
then they go,
get to a
ah.
resolution simply making them spell it out in simple English terms. What are you trying to do? Don't give me the technical, don't give me your
Light
code.
bulb.
Just tell me at a high level, what the hell were you trying to do? Again, Don, back to your point. Did you ever whiteboard the thing in the first place? Right? So, which is how they wound up with the crappy code that they did, because they didn't just like map it out before they ever started coding. They just started coding.
Rod, occasionally, did you say, what were you smoking when you created this?
Yeah. No, I don't think I've ever said that one, but
My boss always used to look
maybe
at
in
me.
my head.
My
Go
boss,
ahead, Mark.
yeah, my boss always used to look at me in amazement when he watched me try to explain and teach somebody at the other end of a phone how to do what they wanted to do in Access.
Oh,
Good old
Microsoft
jet
Access is
engine.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Like I said, the good old jet engine.
I'm sat there, not even looking at Access or anything, and just telling them what they've got to do.
Yeah.
My old boss used to look at me and with a mixture of confusion and disgust.
Was he a good boss or a bad boss?
My boss is a dead boss now.
No, Don.
That was a joke,
Oh, okay. I thought you were being serious for a second.
but I can count on just a couple fingers good bosses I've had in my life.
My boss was a good boss. He died end of June of a stroke, age 7.
Most of my bosses have been kind of, they want to put their thumbprint on everything. So,
And he was all right. And he knew his beers too, I'll tell you. We went to some really good beer festivals and drank some excellent beer.
well, that's always a plus.
Well, Joe will tell you, yeah, military guys are really good evaluators of managers, because we know good officers and we know bad officers.
Mm.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
a big difference.
And in the case of the Army, if they came from West Point, run away.
well, that's the thing.
Okay, well, why do you? What's wrong with West Point?
They're robots.
Yeah,
They're
the-
literally fucking robots. They're
so
trained.
so much
the
better than you.
regulations and the regulations should not be bent, never mind broken.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, come on, dude, we got a job to do.
Probably like a lot of bosses, they want to come in and they think their idea of managing something is getting into a car and making it go instead of just. I always treated whenever I was a boss, I always treated my job. I wasn't steering the car. I was the grease that made everything work smoothly.
Yeah, exactly.
Let people just come in and do their job. And what can I do to get obstacles out of your way?
What's
Yeah,
up,
pretty
Corey?
much. Yeah, pretty much. You know, I had that
Ooh.
experience one year for annual training. At the last meeting before we were going to our 2-week live fire exercise. My fire direction officer, my lieutenant, I don't know, he had to go to school or something. So they gave me a new butter bar lieutenant as my FDO. And I remember sitting in the meeting and I looked over at him and I said, "Sir, you know, when we get out to the firing point, I'm going to be outside the track." And he's like, "No, you're not." I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And he's like, "No, you're not." Because I had
Yeah, I
trained my
am.
guy, I had trained my, like Don was just saying, I trained my guys so well. You don't need to look over their damn shoulders for fucking everything.
Well, if you're doing that,
Go ahead.
you can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah,
You're basically doing every single job yourself, and that's not what a team is. A team,
exactly.
you set direction, say, "Hey, we all want to do this here. When we get this done, we all know our jobs. What can I do to get?" When I was managing Walmart, it's like, okay, well, I do my stuff, but then as I'm walking the store, making sure everybody's still on track. Anybody having issues, they're falling behind. I jumped in and threw boxes with them while they
Sure.
were working, and
Yeah.
that's what you did. Your job was to get the team working together.
And I knew the flow because I taught them the flow of how a fire mission was supposed to go. And I could literally sit on the ramp outside of the track and
What's up, Corey?
listen as things were happening. And I knew the instant that something wasn't quite where it should be, just from the communications that was going on inside it. And I'd stick my head in and go, "Okay, stop. Now let's do this. Let's do that. Get everything lined back up on and get back into the
Let's
flow of
realign
things
the-
and get the
let's
hell out of
realign
the
the
way
stuff.
and say, go to it."
I'd probably do that. Order something on Amazon, like a thin 17 millimeter.
Hi.
So, and in combat, you got to just let people do their jobs. You're not going to have time to babysit everybody because there's going to be too much shit
You
going
can't.
on.
If you're babysitting everybody, you can't really do what you're
Yeah,
supposed to do.
yeah, exactly. So the funny part of it is, so we go to the field. Guess where Hot Rod was about 5 minutes after we set up? Sitting in my chair outside the ramp.
I was gonna guess.
You know what? That lieutenant never said a fucking word to me.
I thought you were gonna say, sit in a chair, away from the ramp, having coffee.
We put steel on target almost every time. That FDO never said a fucking word. He finally figured it out. The good officers learn to let the NCOs do their jobs and stay out of the way and learn what they're doing because they're not taught nearly as technical as the people who are taught the MOS.
It's called hands-on training.
Yeah, pretty much especially for lieutenants.
There's no other phrase for it.
But the good officers learn to let the NCOs do their jobs. The NCOs is what makes the military run. End of story. The officers, they do the planning, little guidance here and there, and stay the fuck out of the way. They let the NCOs get the job done.
Like, here's the direction we're heading. You guys figure it out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh
Well,
my
a little
God.
more detail than that. Oh, we're expecting this
Well-
and that. You know, they give you the planning kinds of things, but it's still the NCOs that.
I've been standing too long. My knee. I just sit down and my knee. It didn't pop, but it twinged in a funny kind of way at the kneecap. It's like, oh,
Was it that way in the Marines, Joe?
Yep. Well,
I'm telling you, we had one colonel that when he became our battalion commander,
Ah.
that I can tell you, and he was a professor at a college. I can tell you, had we ever gone to combat, that dude would have been the first accident.
Yep.
We wanted to kill that bastard. He was an 05 an 05 major almost up until the time he retired, and they gave him the lieutenant colonel battalion command, you know. So he was such a fuck up sort of thing that he never got it early in his career. It was kind of handed to him as a gift at the end of his career so he could retire at that rank kind of thing more than anything. And I'm telling you, us FDC chiefs would have fucking, that dude would have just got lost in the woods and never been found again. Such an idiot.
Well, you could have tied him up, blindfold him, put him in the middle of the woods, and parked the Jeep, and he couldn't figure out his way back.
I told you that story. I told you that story where we had one of our admins, they gave him gun chief for our annual training. And let's just say he was being such an ass that one night, it was funny as hell. I remember his little ass screaming. Everybody across the firing point fucking heard him screaming. They freaking picked his ass up inside of his sleeping bag and taped him to the tube of the howitzer.
Ooh, that must have been
That's funny.
fun. Okay, who picked him up? Was it you?
Probably 4 or 5 guys, and it wasn't me because I was the chief of fire directions.
So
It was one of the guns.
You were directing the guys where to put him.
No, not for that. That wasn't a fire mission. Not my job. And you know what? Here's the funniest part about it. Our first sergeant, he was from Vietnam. That dude was good. And and when they got the guy down and he kind of went to the first sergeant. The first sergeant was just kind of like, okay, did you see anybody? Can you give me any? He knew what the hell went. The first sergeant knew exactly what went down and why it went down. And he basically looked at the guy and said, okay, shut the fuck up, go back to your job.
He turned into Schultz on Hogan's Heroes. I know nothing.
Exactly. And you know that as well as I do, Joe. If you're an asshole, enlisted or anything else, we have a way of taking care of you.
Yeah.
Even if it's a general or an admiral?
Yeah, they're usually out of the way, so I don't have to worry about them.
Well, if he'd have been good at his job, he would never have been in a circumstance that would have allowed them to do to him.
Don looks like he
You know where the bad, although Andrew, I can answer your question, kinda, and Joe will probably back it up too. The bad officers that they know are bad officers, and even though they promote them, always end up in supply. Some mundane admin thing. You're too damn dumb to do this shit. We're gonna give you this.
Like like in charge of the mail room or something.
Yeah, inevitably. Inevitably, you're in charge of the paper pushers because you're too dumb to do anything else. So even in the officers' ranks, like that guy that became the lieutenant colonel at the end, if you get stuck at major, and that's in the Army, that is the rank where if you're just not cutting it, you're probably never going to be promoted above that
I
rank
would bet
as an officer.
some of them would end up as records.
So Major is sort of that rank before you actually get your command, to get your command experience. So if you're kind of a fuck up, you could be a fuck up officer and probably get promoted all the way to major. But after that,
Well,
Major
that-
hot rod.
So
Forget
did you designate them as a major fuck up?
probably most of the time, let's just say they were
There's
never
all-
given the important jobs.
Ro-
Let's put it that way. They were always given the mundane things.
Rod, wasn't there always those couple of guys that were, as Paul said, sergeant fuck ups?
Well, you've got to remember that in MASH, most of the surgeons were majors.
Well, yeah, that's in a medical unit. That's an entirely different story. Even the nurses can be majors in a MASH unit.
Gauntlets, major. Wasn't she? I think.
So
Because there was
Yeah.
Pierce and Hawkeye.
medical units are kind of a different story
Charles
with
Winchester.
ranks.
Winchester.
And
Using-
Hot Lips, Major Houlihan.
Oh, Hot Lips Houlihan.
So was it like that in the Marines, Joe? Did the fuck up officers
Yeah.
make it to major?
You got past major, you doing your job.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you'll get captain, you'll get a unit command because they want to see
Yeah.
whether you could actually command anything. And then you go from unit command to major, which means you're on the staff of the battalion level command stuff. And if you're just not cutting it, that's where you're going to be stuck your entire fucking military career. They're never going to give you a battalion command.
By next November, my son should be a captain.
Great. That means he's going to get his first unit command pretty soon. Or should.
So did Rod get a battalion command?
I wasn't an officer. I worked for a fucking living. I was an NCO.
What do you have?
No, I like my job.
Hmm.
I like training the soldiers. I didn't want to be a paper pusher. And I figured that out as soon as I got staff sergeant. I used to always wonder why the hell did all the gun chiefs and all those guys all love to go to the field? Once I actually got that rank and realized what the hell you had to do as the staff when you're not in the field, god damn. All the maintain the job books, do the
Yeah,
evaluation, write the planning reports. Jesus, I killed more trees than I ever did bad guys. So when you're in the field, you're not doing any of that. You're just doing your job. So I learned pretty quickly. Oh yeah, let's go to the field. The young soldiers always hated going to the field. Here's an interesting question for you, Andrew.
Hmm?
How did we know when we finally had acclimated to being in the field? Joe probably knows the answer to this question.
How do you know when you're acclimated?
When you're acclimated to being in the field,
I'm not sure.
it's actually pretty damn simple. When you don't give a shit about how dirty you are. When being dirty and grimy and grudgy and smelly and it doesn't bother you anymore. Okay, now you're in field mode.
Yeah, all right.
Isn't that the truth though, right?
Yeah, my son, when he was at TBS, they at TBS they blended it out to where it was almost male and female, male and female, male and female, like
Ooh,
a unit.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And he said, all I'm gonna tell you, he said, because I saw pictures. He said, I couldn't believe how dirty I got half the time, and I really didn't care.
Yeah. Once you get to that point where you just stop caring about that shit, then you're a soldier in the field. Until then,
Yep.
you're still partially a civilian because you're caring about being dirty.
Yeah, hold on. I got pictures. Hold on.
I bet Joe enjoys being a civilian more.
Who, me?
Yes.
No,
No,
I enjoy being in the Marines.
I enjoyed shooting the artillery pieces. There's nothing like shooting a 105.5 millimeter gun. Big bang, big hole on the other end. And in my case, I ran the computer systems that did all the computations. And
No.
essentially, when we were in firing mode, the unit was basically mine. I was in charge.
Well, they need somebody to
technically
maintain
my FDO, but the
Somebody's
chief of
gotta
fire
maintain it.
directions ran the unit when we were shooting.
They need somebody to run the computers.
Yeah, but
'Cause
we
otherwise-
did all the computations. We had all the communications with anybody and everything. We maintained all the maps and flots and all the other shit. We knew everything that was going on that we needed to know. And we basically told the guns, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna shoot this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do that. And if I ever had a I'll tell you this, Andrew. Remember I told you that first sergeant was from Vietnam?
Yeah.
If I ever had a problem with a gun chief or the gun not doing something quite right, and I always knew, because I knew the systems, I knew, it's like, hey, gun 3 is always consistently off, something's just like, I'd go talk to I'd go talk to the first sergeant, go, hey, you need to go over there and figure out what the hell, because these guys always seem to be. He always backed my ass up. He always said, you ever got a problem with a gun, just let me fucking know. I'll go take care of that shit. And he counted on me to let him know. And 1 year I had one gun that always seemed to keep shooting long. The FOs kept telling us, God, you guys got one round that seems to always be long. And so what I started doing then, I started alternating through, and we tended to anyways. So on a fire mission, you always shoot around, let the FOs adjust, and do as many adjustments, but it's only one gun that's doing that particular part of the mission.
Yeah.
So you'd rotate through the guns and who was fulfilling that particular role. And eventually I found the one that the FO always had to keep correcting short. Okay, drop it kind of thing. And so it's like, okay, that's the guy who's shooting long. I knew everything about that computer system and the software and the guns and fucking everything.
Wasn't the software, it was the gun.
No, you're gonna love this one. Hey, First Sergeant. I love him. He trained us for combat because he fought combat. He pay attention to the details into our heads. And he went over to the gun. And as it turned out, what the problem was, so when they set up in their position, they're actually supposed to cover the ammunition because it's sunny and hot to keep it in the shade and keep it shaded. And they hadn't covered the ammunition. So the powder was hotter than the other guns. So they were shooting longer than the other guns simply because their powder temp was a hell of a lot higher than everybody else's.
Ooh.
So that's why they were shooting long. But it was literally, again, pay attention to the detail, right? They forgot to throw the canvas tarp over top of the ammunition and the powder.
The thing about that is I figured that one out even without absolutely no knowledge of
artillery.
Yeah.
It was powder temp. It was powder temp on one gun. I mean, you can have one of the things we do typically annually is we do what's called MVVs, muzzle velocity variance. And essentially you strap a fucking radar to the gun and the radar gets the speed of the round coming out of the tube based on the charges and all that kind of stuff. So part of the reason you do that is because of tube wear. Not all of those 6 to 8 guns all have the exact same tube wear on the tubes, kind of thing. So we took the muzzle velocities then and we put them in the computer system, and obviously the computer system adjusted for those variations between the tubes. So the interesting part about this story is that one of the things that I used to do as the chief of fire directions is, remember that whole conversation of the gun shooting the adjustments kind of thing.
And
I would go
Joe-
back in, I would go back in if I could kind of tell, hey, you know, there seems to be something's a little off with this one gun. I'd go in and adjust the muzzle velocities, and I could damn near get all the guns on target almost every time.
Yeah,
Simply because I knew the software inside and out and kind of knew where to go tweak it if something wasn't working quite right that day for those guys.
my second thought would have been rifling wear.
Yeah. Muzzle velocities. Yeah.
Spin rate.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You're right. That's
That's
the
a good
muzzle
picture, Joe.
velocity is one of the potential big differences in accuracy
Yeah.
between tubes.
That's a very good
That was
picture,
what-
Joe.
Not
That was
spin.
my son in what they call a Quigley up at OCS, where you go through the water, you got to go under the log with your rifle and everything else.
Let me guess, you also did that.
I didn't do that. No way.
But again, you go through shit like that so that you accomplish your mission without thinking about it. You're dirty, you're wet, you're tired, whatever. You get shit done. You get it done anyways. And you train that way because you'll fight that way when you get into the fight.
Yep.
Yeah, with me, it's just basic physics and chemistry.
So I enjoyed my career in the military.
You miss it?
Yes.
Yep.
I'd love to go back because they have the new A7 howitzers. Actually, they just stood up the 1st Battalion last year, but it's got the extended long range. What the hell is it? Extended long range something. Anyways, they're extra long tubes, and those howitzers can shoot 72 kilometers, which is about
Wow.
40, which is
So-
about 43 miles.
Doesn't that mean longer barrel for the
Yes,
main gun?
a much longer barrel to shoot that far. But I tell you what, I watched some of the test shots. Holy fuck. Even that far out, they did an airburst round over the target, and that thing was dead on at 40 some miles, dead on right over top of the freaking target. And I was just like, holy fucking cow.
Are these more accurate than the old model?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's due to the amount of rifling. More barrel means more rifling means
And
more.
smarter electronics on the rounds too.
Oh,
Keep in mind, we used to have a round called Excalibur, and the Excalibur rounds were laser guided and they had fins on them. And the FOs would laze the target, and so the round would zero in on the laser, and adjust itself mid-flight. They've got much better shit now for some of that. The route is probably GPS and that combined kind of thing. And yeah. But here's an interesting story. So when the Army first implemented and put the Excaliburs in the field, apparently some of the early units, apparently they were a little scared that the freaking round would like turn around and come back and get them. So on some of their initial testing evaluations and stuff, They weren't hitting the freaking targets. And all the technical guys were kind of scratching their heads. And then they walked down range. They found all these freaking fins laying around on the ground. So what they were doing is they were shooting them with too high of a charge, and it was blowing the fins off the rounds because they were afraid that this stupid thing would come back at them, which it never would. But another
you
interesting
do it properly,
story.
and you're gonna end up where you want it.
Yeah. And I learned to pay attention to details my first annual training. As a little lowly as a little lowly PFC. We were shooting. And all of a sudden we had one gun. Good thing it was the adjustment. It wasn't the fire for effect phase. He shot, and all you heard was bang. And a few seconds later you heard bang, because it was a timed fuse kind of thing. That round went off over top of the freaking trees out in front of us.
It wasn't supposed to, was it?
No, it was not supposed to. So on an artillery on a timed artillery shell, they have a tool that you put on it to adjust it to set the time on the fuse. It was supposed to be a 17-second fuse time. It was 7, is what they figured out. 7 seconds. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got. Good thing is nobody got hurt. The trajectory of the round was still climbing. So when it went off,
boom in the sky.
It just, and all the shrapnel was still arcing up. So it ended up in the impact area. But yeah. That was
somebody messed up.
Pay attention to the details. Oh, I got another one though. Oh my God, this one's kind of weird. This was the entire fucking battalion was sitting on the firing point. We literally took all 18 guns. We took all 18 guns to one firing point because we were going to do the muzzle velocities with the radar, right? So we were going to get muzzle velocities off every tube in the unit. Go through 17 guns, and they shoot 6 rounds each to do MVVs. And 17 guns, no problem. Get to the last gun. First five rounds, no problem. Get to the last round he's going to shoot. All you heard was bang. And everybody fucking knew, oh God, that was not right. You know, after shooting that many rounds, standing around, you kind of get used to the volume of and the sound of it. And what had happened once they did the investigation. So normally when you cut charges on an artillery shell, there's a little peon in the gun. His job is to hold the powder bags up. He goes out behind the gun and he holds the powder bag up so that the gun chief can look and go, oh yeah, he's holding this. It was 105s. So, you know, the guy was holding 2 bags. Okay, I got to charge 5 in the tube. Great, that's what I'm supposed to be shooting. As it turns out, the little nincompoop PFC, the bags that were in his hand were the bags from the previous round. He never, you know, once the round goes off, he's supposed to dispose of them in their disposal site. He never disposed of them. So the kid was standing there with the same 2 bags from the last round.
Ooh.
They shot a charge 7 instead of a charge 5. The only good news is the air impact range was beyond the artillery range, which is where the round landed, was in the air impact range.
The pitch of that must have been off compared to the rest of them. Quite a bit.
You can't begin to imagine an entire battalion standing there, all knowing, Oh yeah.
What about the guy that pushed the button, pulled the thing to fire it? What did he say?
You know, ultimately, it wasn't really the gun chief's problem. It was I'll just tell you this: the nincompoop private that pulled that shit. Yeah, he got a talking to, for sure.
He get chewed out.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You okay,
but-
Justin?
So another one of my war stories of an accident that, well, fortunately didn't end bad.
But another pay attention to detail. Otherwise,
I don't
people
know why
die.
I don't know why the kid didn't throw the bags into the powder pit, because that's what they do. They dig a powder pit to put the extras. At that time, we used to burn the powder. Now you have to, they don't let you burn it anymore.
EPA.
Bad, but yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. He obviously was young and new, and I don't know, got tied up in the excitement of seeing that many guns go through and shoot, or whatever. But the gun chief turned around, looked at him, and went, "Oh, I got to charge 5." Had no fucking clue, because that kid kept the same
He
two damn
didn't,
bags in his hand.
he didn't look carefully, did he?
Yeah,
Nope.
you
No,
can't. The gun chief on a gun is not looking, especially on a 105. So on a 105 howitzer, the round is actually two pieces. There's actually two pieces. There's a canister piece that has the bags in it, and between the bags, between each bag is a cord. So what they do is, if it's a charge, whatever, they pull that many. Do the math. So if it's a charge 5 and it's a 7, normally a 7 charge, full charge kind of thing, they pull 2 bags out of the canister. Then they sit the round on top of that canister, and then they rip the bags at that point. The round holds that little string so that they can rip the bags off and then pull the bags. So I guess my point is, because the charges are inside the canister, the only thing that comes out of the canister is what you're taking out. That particular job of that kid doing that thing is really fucking important to do right, because as a gun chief, you can't see because the powder's inside of a canister. So unless you're going to go over there and personally count it with each round, which you're never going to do, yeah, there was no way for him to. Now, the gun chief, I'm sure, got his ass chewed out too for not
Or
training
fired.
for not training the soldier properly. Guarantee
He
you
could
that
have been
happened
fired.
too.
He could have been fired.
Mm.
Tossed out.
Well, not out of the military. I got another story though. This one happened in basic training. Speaking of getting fired. So we go out to do our live fire exercise, and everything seems to be going fine. All of us, we were running. There were like 10 of us all running the fire mission at the same time. We'd all get the right, if we didn't agree, we didn't send the shit to the gun. Anyways, we're shooting. The next thing we know, we're sitting there and we hear this bang, zoot, 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 zoot. And everybody was just like, what the hell was that? A couple of minutes later, the drill sergeant for the forward observers, damn good thing they were sitting in a bunker. The round landed about 100 yards in front of the bunker. And he brought this big ass honking chunk of steel that was from that round back. And anyways, what had happened was, when they loaded the round, they didn't seat the round in the tube properly. So when they shot, the gases went around the round out in front instead of pushing the round, right? And so it lost its velocity, and that's how that zit was the round literally spinning in the tube because it didn't have enough powder pushing it with enough velocity that you could actually hear it spinning in the tube. Anyways, within 30 minutes, that staff sergeant was standing before Fort Sill commander and got his ass fired. Because he was in charge of the gun. He didn't make sure that they did their crap.
Okay, everybody, I'm gonna close her down. Thanks for being here. We'll see all of you again later, tomorrow morning. Bye
Have
for
fun.
now. Thanks for being here.
All right.